Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SX 2025 and this very special session, International Tech for Local Transformation, Sustainability Innovation in Thailand. My name is 𝐏𝐫𝐸𝐵𝐻 and I'm honored to be your MC today. Before we begin, let's take a quick pulse check. Okay, so how many of you here are passionate about building a more sustainable future for Thailand? Can I see the hands? Good, wonderful. This is exactly the energy that we need as we talk about how the global technology can help with local transformation. And if you walked into this room hoping to get some fresh ideas, to make new connections, and also to get inspired to take actions, you're in the right room. So today, you'll hear from visionary leaders who have shaped sustainable business and innovation both globally and locally. And our program today will begin with keynotes from distinguished speakers and then followed by a very dynamic panel discussion. And also we have an interactive workshop where all of you can participate, and then we'll end with a networking reception where you can mingle with like-minded change makers. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending the session today. So let's kick it off by welcoming our first keynote speaker, who is none other than the chairwoman of JFCCT herself. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hand together to give a warm round of applause to Ms. Vibeke Lyssand Leirvag, the chairwoman of JFCCT.
Thank you very much, Isra. And I'm not the keynote speaker, I'm doing the opening speech. Our keynote we have very soon. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Kun Tong Jai and Kun In. Sorry to say Kun In, but she's very close to me already. It's really an honor that you are here today. On behalf of the Joint Foreign Chamber of Commerce in Thailand, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the JFCCT flagship event here at the Sustainable Expo 2025. International Tech for Local Transformation, Sustainability Innovation in Thailand. Now, this is a very strong title, and it's a strong title because we need all to work for sustainability, and that can be done through innovation, technology, etc. JFCCT represents 34 foreign chambers of commerce in Thailand, serving the voice of the foreign business community for the past 49 years. Next year will be our 50th anniversary. Through our team of chairs, vice chairs, presidents, chamber teams, and their members, we work towards advanced ease of doing business, ease of investment, and we do this through meaningful cooperation between the private sector, government, and our stakeholders. Our working team, we have 6 working teams, and six committees. We are engaging directly with the government, academia, and business partners to drive progress in the digital economy, education, sustainability, tourism, SME, and trade and investment. Already with the new government, we have forwarded our priority areas, and among them is sustainability as a key focus of the country. Foreign investors can contribute not only through the products and services, but by really interacting. So we need to interact through knowledge transfer, skill training, and adoption of sustainable business practices. Companies like Ericsson by building digital skills, or Jotun by training painters in sustainable practices, demonstrates how business conduct itself can be an impact of innovation and in advancing Thailand's sustainable journey. Today's program embodies the spirit of this collaboration, and I'm very honored to have Ms. Michela Friberg-Storey, United Nations Resident Coordinator in Thailand, who leads UN's work in supporting Thailand's achievement towards sustainable goals. With her extensive experience in humanitarian affairs, peace building, and development cooperation, she plays a pivotal role in aligning UN expertise with national priorities and fostering partnerships that strengthen resilience and inclusive growth. Her leadership is instrumental in ensuring Thailand's contribution to the sustainable development both locally and globally, but she cannot do this alone. She has to do it with the private sector and with us who are here in the room. Our second keynote speaker, Ms. Gloyta Nathalang, Senior Executive Vice President of Sustainability Management and Corporate Communication in Bangchak, is a driving force in corporate sustainability and carbon market development. Now, Bangchak, we all know what their main business is, so I really believe this company sets an example. It's been a leader and an example for the private sector in balancing profit with purpose, regenerating communities, nature and the future, and creating a lasting value for all. We will have the panel later, and Mr. Bob Fox, our Digital Economy ICT Chair, will be introducing the speakers, but let me just read their names first. Sam Yamdagni, who is the Group CEO of Power System and Solution. Ms. Rapicha Chandakanon, Strategy Manager for Southeast Asia, Oceania, and India and Ericsson. Mr. Shalermpon Hunprong Simanon, you have a very complicated last name. I should stick to the first name. Chief Strategy and Sustainable Officer of Eastern Polymer Group. And Christine Anvik-Leach, Managing Director of Jotun Thailand. And finally today, we are going to have the workshop under our Sustainable Committee Chair, Mr. Martin Venzky-Stalling. He has worked and championed for innovation and sustainability in Thailand for a decade, or 2 decades, I believe. And I believe that this interactive workshop will, number one, connect us together, but it will also start building relations for the future. With such a diverse and engaging program, let us take these next 2.5 hours to connect, exchange ideas, and co-create solutions for a more resilient and sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun Vibeke, for being the united voice of 34 Chamber of Commerce and paint the picture for us to see the collaboration behind the sustainability. So I hope that already created the excitement for the rest of the program. So before we dive into the panel and the workshop, we have the privilege of hearing from 3 outstanding keynote speakers, and each will bring the unique perspective, experience, and insights about technology, how technology and innovation can shape Thailand's future. So the first keynote speaker was already mentioned, and it is really our honor to have her present here. So she is Miss Michela Friberg-Storey, the UN Resident Coordinator in Thailand, and she will bring the perspective of global collaboration and see how Thailand movements are aligned with the big picture globally. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the UN Resident Coordinator, Ms. Michela Friberg-Storey.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and let's see if I can live up to the expectations outlined. Not entirely sure. I do my best. Distinguished business leaders, excellencies, colleagues and friends, let me start by really express my appreciation to Vibeke for the leadership you show. Thank you. To Kun Tongjai for making sure that we are here together, and to Kun In for the work that is being done on the strong sustainability agenda. Savadika. It's a real honor to join you here today and take a little bit of a deep dive into international tech for local transformation. What do we actually mean by that? Few topics are as important to Thailand's future and indeed to the global economy. This is about how we harness technology and innovation to drive sustainability. Around the world, we are navigating profound challenges. We see, as we all know, the escalating impacts of climate change, the fragile supply chain, and the urgent need for more equitable growth. All of these are further challenged by the geopolitical divides that we see ripping through the world. At the same time, we have Agenda 2030. We have the Sustainable Development Goals. They bring together our commitments in the Paris Agreement. They bring together what we promise each other to the net zero by mid-century, and also what was re-promised through the Pact for the Future last year by the world leader, with a special chapter on digital advancement. They are our roadmaps, not only for survival, but actually also for competitiveness. So we know what we need to do. The question is how we're going to get there. So when we talk about technology today, I really want to ask ourselves if this is something new. No. Technology has always been the driving force in development. It has always been the driving force in human progress. Think back 1,000 years. We took the stones and shaped them into tools. We created stronger plows to enable us to harvest land more efficiently. You all learned in school about spinning jenny and the Industrial Revolution. Each innovation has advanced human development. Fast forward to the 19th century. And this is when one of the first international organizations was established, an organization called the International Telecoms Union, today a member of the United Nations system. And they met in 1965 in an international conference on the latest technology, the telegraph. Right? I say that because it is about how to use technology to advance connectivity, commerce, and human cooperation across all borders. And we know that whether we've been talking about the steam engine, the electricity, the printing of the press, the vaccines, the way we could develop vaccines during COVID-19, it would not have been possible without technology, without innovation, and without investment in research and development. The Nobel Prize laureate, Mr. Robert Solow, a very famous economist, he said, and he showed with his research, that nearly 7/8 of all growth in output per worker comes not from labor or capital, but it comes from advances in technology. It is technology that will create the additional outputs that we're looking for. Development is technology in action. What is new today is the speed and the scale of technology. Whether we talk about artificial intelligence, biotechnology, or digital platforms that are spreading globally, they're spreading globally in years, they're spreading globally in months, sometimes in days. We have the expression that something goes viral and is no longer referring to the medical condition, it's referring to the internet, and it can happen in a day. That's how fast we are all adapting to the new areas. There is also why I want to come back to the International Telecoms Union that met in 1865 on the telegraph. They are meeting next week in Geneva on the Space Sustainability Forum of 2024. So we, as the United Nations, are working with technology across the world, regardless of what technology is for us right here, right now. But with this speed comes great risks. For the first time, we face the possibility that technology could outspace our human abilities and our human values. We see deepening inequalities as a result of lack of access to the technology. We see how it undermines trust and how it divides societies further than what we have been able to do, all thanks also to the speed with which we are using this new technology. But the same digital tools are also empowering the SMEs. So the question is, as we face right now, is not whether technology will drive development, because it will. The challenge is how will it drive development? And that's the choices we are facing. Is it inclusive? Is it human-centered? And who is left behind? Thailand has taken important steps in this journey. Poverty has declined from approximately 34% in 1988 to where we look today at around 3.4%, depending on what dimensions we use, but that's usually the figures we use. Thailand is a global leader when it comes to universal health coverage, covering more or less the entire population. And Thailand ranks second in ASEAN on what we call the e-governance index by the United Nations. And they are leading the implementation of the SDGs in ASEAN for the 7th consecutive year and 43rd on the global ranking, if there was to be such a, it's a harsh word, I have to admit, when it comes to this. But at the same time, we see challenges in Thailand. You are very familiar with some of these, including the household debt, standing at 88.4% of the GDP. It's the highest in Southeast Asia. Nearly 1 in 5 young people are not engaged in education, are not engaged in employment, or are not engaged in any training. That it means almost 20% of the young people in Thailand do really nothing. This is an enormous waste of human capital. The environmental pressures are mounting on Thailand. Not only is the country one of the most disaster prone, as we know, but it also is a risk that we see that with the loss that we project by 2050, climate change will cut approximately 4% of the GDP if nothing is done. 4% of the GDP. Add to that the fact, and I just always have to say this, that road traffic accident already cuts 3% every year. So there are tremendous potential losses for Thailand where technology can be applied to save the economy and save lives. We know from global experience that technology transfer can accelerate progress, and we see it all the time. Whether we talk about how social family digital card are used in some context, or whether we talk about how e-banking is being rolled out in many African contexts, it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere all the time. So the question is to learn in real time as well from the other countries. Thailand has a very strong foundation here. It has its own AI strategy 2022 to 27, with an aim to train 90,000 AI professionals by 2027. However, there will be a challenge when the quality of primary education remains to be suboptimal, and close to 60% of the children have inadequate capacities in numerical and reading abilities at the age of 15. 60%. That means that we run the risk of leaving even more people behind as Thailand wants to advance to become the high-income country by 2037. We see a very ambitious carbon neutrality plan to become carbon neutral by 2050 and net zero by 2065 under the biocircular green economy model. And we see a very strong internet coverage. But if you can't read and write properly, it's a very big risk that you're not going to be able to make use in the right way of that connectivity. So, we see the strategic gaps and the structural gaps remaining. Investment in research and development for Thailand is only at 1.2% of the GDP. 1.2%. That is far below the OECD average, which stands at 2.7. And if you need to advance quickly, you need to invest a lot more in research and development. You need to do it as a government, and you need to partner with private sector to make it happen. But 97% of Thai businesses are not engaged in research and development. And the SMEs face major barriers in adopting climate-smart technologies. That is why I do believe that an event like the Sustainability Expo really allows to create those networks and bring in many of the SMEs that otherwise would fall behind. We see that this is also where the international partnership becomes absolutely key. And that is why we believe that the government provides the enabling environment through regulations and incentives, but they're not going to do it alone. Thailand needs approximately an investment of 1.4 trillion baht every year to reach the SDGs by 2030. The government cannot make that investment. That has to be the joint investment by the government, by foreign direct investment, and by the Thai private sector. This has to be a comprehensive plan that the government leads in partnership with everyone else. We see how the businesses bring innovation, capital, and implementation at scale to make this happen, and we see how academia contributes the human capital. Again, if you want to look at this from a span of 20 to 30 years from now in a context like Thailand with an aging population, you need to invest in early childhood development as well, not only universities. The foundations have to be laid early on so that the country can harvest the fruits for the next generation. The role of the UN here is to act as a connector. We link Thailand's regional ambitions, global added value, and the national priorities together. We work, for example, with the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, when it comes to the climate-smart agriculture. We look at ILO when it comes to digital solution for safe working environment. UNDP works a lot on sustainable financing and waste management. And UNESCO, our dear colleagues, work a lot on doing the AI readiness assessment and supported Thailand in hosting the 3rd Global Ethics on AI conference here just a couple of weeks ago. Just to mention a few. Don't worry, with 3,000 staff working for the UN in Bangkok, covering over 45 UN offices, so I'm not going to list them all. But this is just to give you some of the key examples where we see that the sectors really benefit from the key advancement of technology. Then there is also the Global Compact, the UN Global Compact, which remains central. And I know that many of you may well be involved in the Global Compact, and I strongly encourage those of you who are not to do some research and find out more about it, because it does create a platform, and it works, of course, very closely with the Joint Chamber of Commerce as well to make sure that the sustainability is something that benefits all of us. Finally then, Thailand has the opportunity to harness international innovation, not only to meet its climate and sustainability goals, but also to strengthen its competitiveness in a fast-changing global economy. The journey from global to local is not automatic. It requires deliberate action, investment, and collaboration. But the price is immense. It will create a more resilient economy. It will create an inclusive opportunity for the people. And it will continue to allow Thailand to lead ASEAN's sustainability transition. So, as we move into the rest of today, I ask you to think about the ways that you can turn the international technology into local transformation and turn these ideas into action, making sure that we leave no one behind. Ladies and gentlemen, let me end by again thanking the JFCCT for bringing us together, and also for the ASEAN to make sure that we are here at the Sustainability Expo 2025. 𝐏𝐫𝐶𝐫𝐚𝐦𝐿.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Her Excellency Michela. I hope it's not just me, but I felt that everybody in the room just sat more straight with that very impactful keynote. So with speed comes risk, and Thailand has to probably move faster. And it's not just our wants, it's our needs. And it's not just about will we, but how will we. So that really sets the stage for our discussion today. So we're not going to have just the one keynote, we have more. So our second speaker, let's shift this perspective to a more local perspective. Everybody knows Bangchak. It's a leading Thai corporation which has done so many sustainable initiatives. And so we're going to hear the perspective on how this cooperation happens and what is in it for us to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Senior Executive Vice President of Sustainability Management and Corporate Communications from Bangchak, Miss Gloyta Nathalang.
Wow, that's a hard act to follow. สวัสดีค่ะ ขอบคุณค่ะ สวัสดีค่ะ Good afternoon, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is a true honor to join you here at Thailand Sustainability Expo, or SX 2025, together with the Joint Foreign Chamber of Commerce. Today, I'd like to reflect on Bangchak's journey and how international technology and know-how can transform local sustainability pathways. At Bangchak, we believe energy must serve not only growth, but also society and the planet. Our story is how a Thai energy company with strong partnerships can help accelerate the transition. Bangchak's story began in 1984 as the smallest refinery in Thailand by the bank of the 𝐴 River. We then expanded into marketing through what we call cooperative service stations or community service station. I think perhaps it was among the first of Thailand social enterprises where the agricultural cooperatives could own the service station and have not only good quality fuel, but also earn income. And today we are covering around 4 million households with 600 service stations out of the 2,200 service stations throughout Thailand. And we have been the leader in renewable or low carbon or bio-based energy. Since 1991, we introduced the first unleaded gasoline and low sulfur diesel, which was a small but important steps towards clean energy in Thailand. What we did, our staff, back then, some 15 years ago, every Saturday, Sunday, they went around the communities around our refinery and bought used cooking oil and turned it into biodiesel. We first had a small pilot plant inside Bangchak Prakhanong refinery, and now that spins off as a business, BBGI, the bio-based affiliate of Bangchak Group. In 2005, we brought biofuels into our service stations, and that was a signal sustainability could be part of daily life. And from this modest origin as a Bangkok refinery, we have grown steadily and always guided by one conviction: energy must support people, communities, and the environment. And in 2015, due to my boss's vision, he invested in Lithium America, through what we call BIC, Bangchak Innovative and Initiative and Innovation Center, because he foresaw that lithium would be something that we need today for battery. And so we invested in South America, in Argentina. Unfortunately, we had to sell in 2019 due to COVID because we needed cash back then. But we already made some profit out of that, and we still have the offtake agreement every year. And now we went into renewable energy. We were among the first in Thailand to have a solar plant, and now again spin it off as another affiliate, BCPG. We foster a low carbon ecosystem through Winoni, a battery swapping station, internal startup, encouraged our own employees to come up with projects through the design thinking course. And this team won the award from the management and was asked to leave the company and start their own startup. I remember, seeing them being very happy for winning the contest, but at the same time being shocked. We didn't really force them to leave. I mean, at the end of the day, they were still our employees, but the concept was, if you are still our employee, you wouldn't push for it to scale up, So if you really want to push it to scale up, you would have to resign from the company. But at the end of the day, they're still with us, but it was just the concept. And I remember they were standing there in shock that, do we really need to leave the company now that we have won this contest? But it's now, again, it's an internal startup. It's now, we have some investors that are investing in this. Then we went even further, trying to diversify our business, pushing for low and lower carbon emission from our operation. And this year in 2025, we have started, we are still running the test on the SAF, Sustainable Aviation Fuel, from used cooking oil, and also we are producing B24 marine biofuel out of Bangchak Sirikit refinery, which was formerly Esso refinery. So I think we can say that, with limitation, with challenges, it forced us to really think, out of the box and be more innovative. So our growth has always come from turning challenges into opportunities, because hydrocarbon dependence pushed us to explore cleaner molecules and green electrons in line with the energy transition trend. The search for higher value required us to develop new solutions, from added value products to energy storage and beyond. Every limitation became a spark for innovation, reshaping Bangchak into an energy group ready for the future. And this innovation has a clear destination. We are committed to net zero by 2050, a goal that guides every step for our transformation. And Michela, I'm very happy to report to you that the government just announced the new target for net zero 2050. The Director General of the Department of Climate Change and Environment was just on stage, and he confirmed that we are pushing our target to 2050 now. So now we really need to expedite everything. So just in a nutshell, today Bangchak operates across 5 core business groups, from refinery and trading to marketing, green power, bio-based product, and natural resources. And one strong example of international collaboration why I'm here is our investment in 𝐏𝐫𝐸 in Norway, a leading mid and late life operator on the Norwegian continental shelf. Through 𝐏𝐫𝐸, Bangchak brings global know-how into practice strengthening Thailand's energy security while also contributing to global sustainability. And through Ogia, we have now farmed in a local operation in Thailand with Chevron. So with the experience that we've gained from Norway, we are now coming back to home and try to bring those technology and those know-how to elevate the industry here. And that, to me, reflects the spirit of this event, chambers of commerce uniting across borders to advance shared goals. Greenovate. Greenovate is about striking the right balance. At its heart lies the wisdom of His Majesty King 𝐏𝐫𝐴𝐺𝐻, sufficiency economy philosophy, teaching us that progress must balance profits with value. It means pursuing fair profits with responsibility while creating enduring benefits for people, communities, and the environment. I always say that you're in business, so profit is not a dirty word. As long as you keep it, at the appropriate volume, appropriate portion. Through Greenovate, we embed ESG into every decision and address the energy trilemma, energy security, affordability, and sustainability with long-term resilience. We Greenovate to regenerate. Regenerate is about creating positive impact that endures. It is a commitment to restore balance to nature and society, enabling livelihoods, reviving ecosystems, and ensuring resilience for generations to come. Regenerate moves us beyond simply reducing harm to giving back more than we take, and renewing the foundations on which future growth depends. And this is our brand idea, Greenovate to regenerate. So together, Greenovate and regenerate from this brand idea, a purpose that connects innovation with renewal and business with society. This comes to life through 3 pillars, and let me just share a few examples of how each takes shape in practice at Bangchak. First pillar is regenerative power. We have a climate action roadmap that sets us on the path to net zero by 2050. We deliver innovative products, through premium and low carbon fuels from local innovation. I can bet you high premium, Bangchak high premium with 97 octane is the best. And we offer discount on Monday. So every Monday is Purple Day. You can get a 3 baht discount per liter at every Bangchak station. Time for promotion, right? I'm allowed. Thank you very much. Innovative destinations. So, now a service station is no more a place where you go and fill your tank with fuel. You may just drop by and, use the toilet facility, or you can use the EV charging station, or even, internet drinks and some Michelin Vibeke food, everything that you wish for, even healthcare, pet care, it's become destination. And we are also, as I mentioned, in clean power through BCPG. We are in solar, wind, hydropower, and natural gas in Asia Pacific. And we are now going above and beyond with energy storage, smart city, and a few other things. The second pillar is regenerative innovation. And that's the first one that I mentioned, the community energy, the cooperative service station. The second one is how we turn used cooking oil into biodiesel, and now into aviation fuel, and also into renewable diesel or HVO, And we use used cooking oil that we collect from household and place like this, Queen Sirikit National Convention Center, they also join our network of Fry to Fly. You know, now it's become business model. In the past, it used to be CSR, but now you can sell, and you can, again, time for promotion. You can go to every Bangchak service station in Bangkok and about another 200 elsewhere in upcountry to sell your used cooking oil so that, you know, we can make SAF out of that. You know, so that's one of the programs that has been long-standing, and, you know, from biodiesel now into SAF and HVO. And here, you know, not only the Queen Sirikit Convention Center itself, I think most of the restaurants here, from Oishi and a few others, they also joined this Fry to Fly program. But before that, we work with the Department of Public Health, another campaign called No Refry. The restaurants that join will get a certificate from the department, you know, don't use the cooking oil more than twice. You know, once is more than enough. And if you use more than 3 to 5 times, that's very bad for your health. So we encourage not to refry, so that, you know, you can sell the used cooking oil, get some money, and to buy the new oil so that you don't have to refry again and again. And that's good for the environment, that's good for your health, good for the society. We also formed this Carbon Markets Club together with a few other companies, 11 back then, 4 years ago. Now we have 1,600 members. And that's where we encourage the society to learn more about climate action. In fact, when we first started, my mandate was to support the government in carbon credit trading, because Thailand is still a voluntary carbon market. And we see that carbon credits is a kind of a bridge for us to linking us now with the future of energy transition. I mean, everyone wants to use clean energy, but it cannot happen overnight. So we see that, you know, people who can get some revenues from selling carbon credit, they can now invest more in cleaner technology or in nature-based solutions. So for us, the role was to support carbon credit trading. But then when we started this, as a communicator, what I noticed was that the society at large was still missing a lot of information or even lacking knowledge. So we have done a lot of knowledge sharing and raising awareness on climate action. And now we offer tools like not only the platform for carbon credit trading, but also tools for carbon footprint tracking for organization, and even an individual my carbon footprint, so that you know how much carbon emission you emit as an individual. And that's how we communicate and raise awareness through a lot of communications activities. So now we took another step and worked with a few other clubs in ASEAN, trying to frame a common carbon framework in ASEAN so that we can trade across border or strengthen our competency in the ASEAN as a region, so that we can, again, you know, be more competitive and have this commonality. Because now you still have, like Thailand has 𝐿𝐴, Singapore may adopt Vera or a few others. Indonesia has their own. If ASEAN can work together and perhaps have our own standard, you know, that would be something that we would like to work on. Sorry. The last pillar is regenerative life, and we have like the community premiums to give away to our customers. You know, in the past, I was growing up with this kind of Bangchak premiums, and you get like produced from Narathiwat, from Yala, very down south, or from the very north of Thailand. And Bangchak was among the first to help find markets for these products from the local, from the country, from the provinces far away from Bangkok. And we still do that every year. We also help our neighboring communities to grow their business. CSR lately, has become more of not trying to give away, but trying to make them grow sustainably to the point that if one day we are not here, they can stay. Otherwise, they would have to depend on us all the time. So what we've been trying to do lately is try to promote career development, helping set up, like this one is a social enterprise called �ភឹង It's a kind of stingless bee, in 𝐏𝐫𝐫𝐨𝐿𝐴, which is across the 𝐓𝐴 River. So now they can make soft serve ice cream out of this honey from this kind of bee. That one, I think you might be a little bit pleased that we have this program called Read and Write with Ease, that we train the teacher to teach the grade 1 students to read and write. Because we also found out that, the level of literacy in Thailand is very, very alarming. Somebody, we thought they could read, they didn't. They could remember it as picture. So if they see this, they know that this is how it's pronounced, but they remember as picture, but not by reading. So that's one of the issues that we're trying to solve as well. And we are also do a lot of activity on nature and climate resilience, like restore mangroves, seagrass, rice fields, and forests for future generation. So, ladies and gentlemen, the true value of international technology is realized when it helps drive local transformation. For us, it means creating lasting value, balancing profits with responsibility, and helping regenerate communities, nature, and the future. And that is the journey of Bangchak, from renovation to regeneration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Khun Gloyta. I think all of us see now that, it's not easy to translate such a grand goal like net zero into something that the local communities can understand and be engaged with. And it really takes a country leader in this front. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, now that we can see that from our two keynote speakers that technology transfer doesn't happen by chance. And now we see that the journey, the local journey can be long, but also exponential later. So please give a big round of applause for our two keynote speakers. Coming next is a presentation from the host, JFCCT, who unites the Chamber of Commerces in Thailand. And it will lay a good foundation, an insightful overview of sustainability goals and challenges, and then get us thinking about the issue, and we see the landscape of the issue. So the next speaker will be none other than the Vice President of Sustainability Management, the JFCCT Sustainable Development Committee Chairman, a man who has been actively participating in the sustainability discussions in Thailand for over 2 decades. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Martin Venzky-Stalling.
Actually, they don't know what I'm presenting about, so I haven't shared my presentation yet. But good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Martin Venzky-Stalling, and I'm the chair of the Sustainable Development Committee of JFCCT. It's one of 6 committees that we have at JFCCT, and another one is headed by Mr. Bob Fox, who will later on moderate the panel. He's also actually a key person in the Sustainable Development Committee. I'm very glad that he supported me and key part actually in preparing for today. I also just wanted to say a few things before I get started. If you haven't had the chance yet, we have a very good booth downstairs in the exhibition area under the theme Accelerate Sustainability Together. What that means is basically just collaboration, what we're talking about here now, to bring Thailand forward faster on initiatives that are sustainable. And the MC kindly, when I was mentioned that there will be a workshop, don't be scared. There will be, it's more like an activity. Why are we having one at the end? Because we are going to have lots of good ideas. A panel discussion, you heard 2 keynotes, you will hear me. It's kind of maybe a good idea to discuss those a little bit in a facilitated format. So we've prepared a very simple activity for you to discuss in small groups within where you're sitting. You don't have to get up, and discuss some of the points that are coming up today. And that will be any time you need, between 30 to 60 minutes. And after that, we will have a small reception to celebrate today and talk more about what we heard. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand me. I see hope. I see action in this room. However, I wanted to set the scene by bringing back a little bit what we are dealing with. We are dealing with very uncertain times, with many, many social, political, and environmental challenges, also sometimes referred to as VUCA. CO2 emissions have continued to increase, and the forecasts are ranging, but we are currently not anywhere near on a track to 1.5 degrees that the IPCC said would be a safe temperature increase. Safe like the natural disasters, the changes to climate, the heat waves would be manageable. It doesn't actually mean 1.5 degrees increase on average worldwide. Doesn't affect us. No, but we are beyond that. Now, can I ask you, who believes in this room that the MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the US, is a good source of information? Would you generally trust the MIT as being a good, reliable center of knowledge, science? I see many of you nodding. So what they are saying, they have, together with ClimateWorks, developed a quite advanced model of climate change called En-ROADS. And I wanted to share this with you. This is En-ROADS, the front face, the dashboard. And what it is showing is on the top right, that's the key figure. We are currently on the path to a 3.3 degree increase, global average temperatures by the end of the century. What you see below are the levers to affect that, to reduce that temperature increase. You know, many things we can do. It's quite a complicated model. But they're saying currently, based on all the pooling of all the information together, that's the path that we are on. 3.3 degrees, just more clearly. Right? That's quite something. It's driven by significant increase of CO2 in the atmosphere. Now, some people, sometimes you might hear, is carbon, what is it all about? Carbon is life, and we need carbon. Yes, of course we do need carbon in the atmosphere. It makes sure that we are not freezing to death. But if it's too much carbon, then the Earth is heating. And so, and this was happening at an unprecedented pace in the last 100 years, also at a time when we have 8 billion people, or whatever it is now, not maybe a million as in some previous times. And what would a world look like 3 degrees of increase? Arctic sea ice will be affected, biodiversity droughts, and area-based fires. Thailand is one of the most affected countries economically. This is by an insurance companies. I love reading insurance companies, their reports, because you would kind of think the financial sector sometimes is more conservative or something like that. Their reports are the best if you want to know what they think about climate change, because it's grim. You know, getting insured for changes and for the impact of climate change will get harder and harder. So they're saying in Thailand, and TDI has further worked with these figures. TDI is saying agriculture, labor, people are not being able to work because our factories, many of them, are not made to deal with an increase from just 10 days of extreme heats to 20 or 30 days of extreme heat. So labor productivity will be affected. Tourism will be affected. This slide shows you on the marine area, coastal areas. But actually, and this is a common kind of focus, that Bangkok and the coastal areas will be badly affected. I've been to several conferences recently that are talking about the underestimation of the impact of heat waves. The impact of heat on infrastructure, on productivity, and on agricultural yields, and driving further things like, for example, air pollution, because farming might just get more extensive and driven to use more land and cut forests and so forth. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because I want to bring it back to that model by En-ROADS, by MIT. And what I did with this model, you can actually run a workshop, you can go to the website and try it yourself. And then people say, oh, I'm going to do this, and surely it will change, it will get better. You can see the light blue ones are the levers that I changed to get to 1.5, almost all. So, how does that connect to today? It means that when we are innovating and when we are talking about sustainability, we need all hands on deck. We really need to collaborate. We really need to focus on sustainability initiatives that make an impact and think about systems sort of like, are they really the right way to go? Because we need to work on so many fronts to bring it down. Also, waste management, pollution are all connected to the ecological, to the natural systems. So when we are working on waste management, plastic reduction, it also affects the climate and the emissions. So really, all these areas, renewables, energy efficiency, electrification, using natural-based solutions, we need them all. That's what the task at hand is. But going back to this room being a room of hope and action, we're going to hear about quite a few solutions today and what companies are doing and bringing from overseas to Thailand, working with Thai companies to do that. One more way of showing this is the SDGs. You might have heard about them and the report saying, we are not getting there. But we're only there about 17%, and 83 is show limited progress. Some are even getting worse. But what scientists are saying and economists and so, they're saying achieving the SDGs would actually be an opportunity, not a cost. When you get, it's an opportunity. And also many say we actually have the solutions. Project Drawdown, for example, is a database. I can send you the link to you. It says these are all the climate solutions available already today that we can use. So yes, we need more innovation, but if we use what we have now, that will actually make a big impact in climate models. The question is, why are we not achieving it? And I just wanted to throw in one other perspective, is why are we not achieving the SDGs? And more people are saying innovation is key, but we also need better leaders and need to change our mindsets. So out of Sweden, they developed something which is called the IDGs, Inner Development Goals for Outer Change, which is a model to achieve the SDGs, but focusing also more on leaders and mindsets. So, and that includes better collaboration, focusing on regenerative practices, as Gloyta has mentioned, So the IDGs are kind of like, if we're not changing ourselves, collaborate better, think on how we can motivate others, open up our workforce to let them know that they can come up with the ideas for sustainable initiatives, we may not get there. So we do need to also work on ourselves to get better innovation. I skipped the next slide, but you can just sort of see that there is quite the framework behind this kind of thinking that leaders can apply. And I'm glad to say that the Thai Public Health Institute and other organizations in Thailand are beginning to apply the inner development goals, focusing ourselves for better outer transformation, achieving the SDGs. So, and they say that using these kind of skills to, for example, have a strong moral inner focus and being able to, one of the big victims in some of the discussions recently has been empathy and compassion. Those are actually critical if we want to move forward and achieve a just and sustainable world. So saying if we are practicing the IDGs, these are the benefits: stronger, more meaningful, impactful ESG integration, healthier, productive employees. So working not only on innovation, but maybe the right word is innovation with purpose. What are we innovating for? Sometimes I came across somebody, I don't want to say, and I thought, I hope you don't get funding for that, but because you really didn't think it through what the impact of this technology would be. Because it's going to be creating more negative impacts, unintended negative consequences. So let's focus also on the right innovation together with other things. So my little success formula is here: innovation with purpose, partnerships, regenerative leadership, business model transformation, not just products, real true transformation to get to new future-proof business models. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Kun Martin, for helping to link all the issues back to all of us. How do we change ourselves to be collaborating better, to be more empathetic? So all the sections start with us. So I would like to wrap up this session by, just before we lose some of the speakers, by inviting all of them up the stage again for a photo session. So please, could I invite all the keynotes? Oh, we can proceed. Okay. Okay. Sure. All right. So let's jump into the panel. Yeah. Let's do the panel discussion that everyone has been waiting for. Okay. So for the panel discussion, with the title "World Leading Technology and Know-how Applied, Transferred, and Grow in Thailand. How is innovation transferred and adapted, and what do we need to do?" With this session, we're going to invite Mr. Bob Fox, Chair of Digital Economy ICT Committee and Policy Coordinator of JFCCT, and who has been much involved with sustainability initiatives. So Bob will come with his speakers, and I will let Bob introduce his speakers. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bob Fox.
Good afternoon. In the fine tradition of the best conferences, we're running slightly behind, but I'm not going to panic and rush it through. So let's take our time to have a good panel discussion. It's my great pleasure to invite the panelists up here today. We have four. First of all, Mr. Sam Yamdani is the Group CEO of Power Systems and Solutions and Joint Managing Director of its Asia-Pacific solar business, with a big focus on renewable energy. Associated companies are Birdie Renewables and I2 Capital, which brings an extraordinary amount of funding. Let's keep the applause to the end. Thank you. Next one. And Ms. Rapaja, or more affectionately known as Kun Panda, is Strategy Manager for Southeast Asia, Oceania and India for Ericsson. She's a business strategist with long experience in the telecoms, ICT and energy sectors, with startup and strategic development experience. And 𝐿, who I will not follow our chairwoman's attempt to get your name right, but I have a better one. He's allowed me to call him 𝐿. How about that? Is Chief Strategy and Sustainability Officer of Eastern Polymer Group, SET listed, and Managing Director of Eastern Polypack, an active speaker on sustainability. And last but not least, and I can pronounce this name reasonably well, Christine Nanvet-Leach is the Managing Director of 𝐿𝐴, Thailand. A true global citizen, Christine brings over 20 years of international experience, having held senior roles in Norway, the UK, Malaysia, India, and also in Thailand, known for her people-centric leadership style. So, I have the clicker. So you'll notice that there is a overall theme for our afternoon today, and for this panel we're focused down on the very interesting questions of technology and know-how. So the technology and know-how part brings in the human dimension. It brings in organizational learning and other things like that. In front of you there should be a piece of paper if you want to use it with a QR code. It looks like that, and it's very simple. You just go into that and then you don't have to log in. If you punch in know-how, you can see some questions in there and go forward, okay? We talk about a new leadership style. We talk about, as Martin has mentioned, a change in mindset that's needed if we're going to achieve sustainability goals. So what does that mean in terms of new management thinking? So old style management would have been command and control. It wouldn't have been about building teams as much. It wouldn't have been as much about empathy and bringing out the innovations that are in all of our minds and willingness to act. So new leadership styles are needed. This is a summary of something from McKinsey a couple of years ago. It's nothing particularly new, but it is a very good description of the kind of thing that's needed if we're going to achieve our goals. We all talk about in the JFCCT and foreign business communities about 𝐸𝐶𝐸M doing business and investing in Thailand. We all love doing business in Thailand, but as our first keynote speaker has mentioned, there are challenges. There are challenges to doing business. I'm not going to go into rankings and assessments today, but think about the contribution that international business makes when it's driven by responsible business conduct and, if I may put it, the decency of good human beings who are leaders. The decency of individuals who are good human beings as leaders drive standards. They don't just focus on compliance and checkbox. There are in Thailand the usual investment restrictions, and we'll look at some of those. And we have to comply, but we also have to change. Why do companies want, for example, 100% foreign ownership? What's behind that? And then why is that important? Know-how. How are skills actually transferred? So if you're coming to Thailand or pretty well anywhere else, the government agency is going to say, we want to see your skills transferred. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean you give away your know-how, you give away your technology, or do you license it and then walk away? What does it mean? What does it mean to be an innovator? We had a conference here on the 2nd of September, which we'll look at briefly. And then ease of doing business, there are some issues around that. The new policy statement of any successive government is full of a little bit of something for everyone always. However, if you read the current Prime Minister's policy statement issued just recently, 29 September, there are a few interesting snippets in there. There's the SME liquidity, the trade wars issues, but there's also the shift in the net zero target, which has already been mentioned, which actually was announced in March as an intention, but now it's being embedded. The consequences of that are massive. The amount of capital needed in terms of green finance to do it is very significant. There's also mentioned better transferable carbon credits, carbon trading, and also something specifically on clean air. There's something on digital government, and there's something on guillotine. Guillotine is fast-track regulatory reform. It might be the first time it's been mentioned in a policy statement. So these are snippets of hope. Today we're going to break up our conversation into 4 themes. The first one's about holistic sustainability as a business and investment norm. Secondly, innovation as a strategic driver. And thirdly, the whole area of skills. We talk about green skills. There are other kinds of flavors of skills. And then overcoming barriers to do what we need to do for our objectives. The way we've structured this, each speaker has 5 minutes to give what we call opening visuals, not a presentation, just a scene setter. And then we will go into the structured discussion. So I would turn to 𝐏𝐫𝐸𝐶 as the first speaker, and here's the clicker.
Hi, everybody. Many familiar faces, so hello to all of you guys. Very interesting topic, and Bob has been pretty specific of how we should be handling this. So we're going to talk about things that will be interesting. So I'm going to start off talking something about, well, the first slide is missing, but about 𝐏𝐫𝐸𝐶. Correct? All you guys know 𝐏𝐶, right? Okay. So if you look at 𝐏𝐶, the important thing is that if you look at a nice 𝐏𝐶 shop, and you go there and you have a 𝐏𝐶, and you go there after 3 months, you'll find that there's another 3 more. You go after a few more months, there'll be many more. So in Thailand, we're actually really, really good at copying what is good and trying to make it better, right? This is something we do efficiently and we do it quite well. However, that really doesn't happen on a policy level. And that's where we need to see the first particular change. We should be really looking at policy as a technology. Because the world is transforming so significantly in the next 5 to 10 years that it's going to be rather impossible for everybody to catch up to the kind of change it's going to bring. A lot of countries are building policies that implement and expedite many of these things, and therefore the best possible way is to basically get the best code, correct, compile it for Thailand, and then execute it with speed. I mean, that is what is essential for Thailand. And if you can do that across ministries, you can actually lower the cost down, right, for the weighted average cost. If you can reduce it by 1%, 2%, and that's basically coordination between policymakers, you can actually pump in and get billions of dollars of investments into the country. So I'll talk to you about some ideas, right? Some ideas, some policy-related things, and all these things require policy decisions. No real government money, but you'll get a lot of investment coming into the country. The first one is let buyers choose green. You'd be surprised that in India you could be running a bakery shop, and in that bakery shop you have a 100 kilowatt load. You can actually buy that 100 kilowatt load from a solar plant located 3 states away from you. Right? You can do the same thing with a 100 megawatt plant. So you should allow them to do that. I mean, I keep on thinking that what happens if we can get Pizza Mania to do that? That'll be pretty good to be able to get green energy, and that'll be really nice to be able to have sustainable. But that's the problem that we have. We'll talk about data centers later. They are a huge consumer of energy. We'll talk a little bit more about it. But then the other problem is that if customers can choose green, they can actually export. So if you want to improve your exports, you guys have heard of CBAM and things like that are there, that limit the amount of exports that you can do or actually reduce how much you can sell to different regions around the world. And being able to have a choice on green, right, will allow you to be able to achieve that. So that's a very simple thing. Just like a bakery shop, you should be able to choose, green energy from where you want. The second idea is green infrastructure. You know that there's a lot of EV manufacturing capacity in Thailand. despite having a humongous amount of EV manufacturing capacity, you don't see a lot of EV trucks. As a matter of fact, we did the surveys with the top 20 companies, and then we realized that they don't have anybody who can provide EV trucks. So you have this whole, SBTI, many of you guys will know that. And if you've got to work on your scope 2s and even scope 1s, correct, to be able to reduce your carbon emission on transportation, there is no option available today because the model of transportation is 50 years old. It's based on ICE engines. And with EVs, it's extremely difficult because you need to know how to manage the EV. The fleet management is actually a technology. And in order for Thailand to really ramp up a lot of investments into this sector, decarbonize the country, but also improve the amount of EV truck manufacturing here, again, you just got to unlock some policies and allow people who've got the expertise to come in and actually be able to cater to make the country greener. The third one is essentially smart meters. As you might know, that there is a big plan on smart meters and installing smart meters, because smart meters are necessary because there is a lot of non-revenue water, non-revenue electricity that is actually wasted that you and I are paying for. Smart meters are really expensive. People need to plan it, and the budgets required is humongous. Policy changes that can allow, and countries are already doing it around the world, where you could actually go ahead and get private sector to invest into smart meter and convert the whole of cities and populations to have these smart metering capabilities will allow more revenue to happen. So now you're not paying for it, you're paying from the savings. And you'll have so much savings that you can actually invest it back into infrastructure. All it takes is no money, but it takes making the right policy decisions. The last one is data centers that I want to talk about. Currently 2025, the global data center is around 320 terawatts. That's the installed base. And in 10 years, it's going to be increasing to 1,250 terawatts of electricity. So essentially, data center companies are chasing electricity, right? And where it is available and installing data centers there. So it is critical for us to be able to have the policies and permits right. You keep on hearing about data centers a lot in Thailand. A lot of announcements are made, but because policy, and again, green power is not available. So again, you can unlock $100 billion worth of business in the next 5 years, right? If you can actually go ahead and make the right policies. So essentially, what we're trying to say is that if we really want to look at sustainability as such, all these are sustainable initiatives, and essentially policy, if it is looked upon as technology, can really drive the business here for the country.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam. We'll hand over to Kun Panda, and for 5 minutes, please.
All right, so nice to meet you all. I'm Rapisha, you can call me Panda. So before getting into sustainability context, let's get to know 𝐸𝐸𝐿. 𝐸𝐸𝐿, we are proud to be the world leader in mobile technology with leading position in 5G. And it is obviously that we were the first to bring 5G to the 5 continents. And we are now powering like 183 5G live network in 78 countries. So that's a huge success for us. And more than that is that our customers are leading in performance, with majorities of them are on top of industry benchmarks. And you can see that we have obviously invest a lot in R&D to ensure that our portfolio can deliver the best cutting-edge technology to our customer and ultimately create the impact to the society with 5G. And most importantly is that we integrate sustainability, integrity, and corporate responsibility as part of the strategy, and is at the core of what we are doing. This helps us to drive business transformation, mitigate risk in the long term, build trust, and most importantly, create value to all key stakeholders. And you can see that our sustainability approach, right, is very holistic, right? It's not limited to only environmental, but also covers social and governance aspect as well. And so far, we have achieved different outcomes, as you can see in this slide, ranging from energy performance, right, to decarbonization, to ethics and compliance, and also help to provide access to education to students across the world. And more than that is that we have a clear vision that our vision is a world where limited connectivity improve life, redefine business, and most importantly, pioneering the sustainable future. So we have the strong commitment to achieve net zero across our value chain by 2040. And how do we do that? We have different initiatives so far, ranging from decarbonizing our own activities and also drive energy and efficiency in our portfolio. And I think the most impactful one is that we are driving the sustainable future through the powers of 5G in different use cases across different verticals. 5G is redefining the business. And you can see that 5G unlock different use cases that actually help to tackle the climate change, ranging from 5G smart factory to the ports of the future, and also to connected vehicles, right? And even like waste management. So it's not like you in like higher productivity, but also help to save energies, provide more intelligent operation and agile operation. So we see that with 5G, is the power of engine towards sustainability. And last but not least, we have Lyssand Connect to Learn program. So as I mentioned before, it's not just about environmental, but we are committing to help the society through providing more access to education as well. So our Lyssand Connect to Learn has now been expanded to over 40 countries and reaching over 500,000 students right now. So it's a huge impact that we are creating to the society. And right now, we are looking to scale this positive impact in Thailand as well through the work and seminar that we are having with 𝐕𝐴𝐷, right? So I hope that what we are trying to do now will create the positive impact to the society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now turning to Kunchal.
Okay, so thank you, Bob. And first of all, thank you to JFCCT, and special thanks to Claudia Marcelo from Brazil Thai Chamber of Commerce that proposed us. And I just realized that I represent the only local Thai company here. And we are proud to be the local Thai company under the company name Eastern Polymer Group. So I have 3 slides. I promise I will read in 5 minutes, Bob, okay? I know you're going to force me to do that. Yeah. I just want to throw a little bit that this year is my 3 consecutive years. I'm on the Sustainability Expo stage in 3 different companies. So hopefully next year I come, I still stay with the Eastern Polymer Group. So EPG, we are the listed Thai company with AA ESG rating. And we are proud to be the local company, but we have a global footprint. And we are the polymer-based, let's say, converting company, making products to serve 3 main industries. First is the building materials under the brand name Aeroflex. We make a thermal insulation with several patents. And also another one, we also make polymer-based products for serving automotive industries under the brand name Aeroclass. We also have a footprint in Australia, in South Africa, Europe. And the last one is a 3 main business unit is Lyssand Polypack, which I also acting as a managing director. We are one of the largest food service plastic packaging company, not only in Thailand, but also in Southeast Asia. So yeah, we have global footprint. What I understand is that the only continent that we don't have the footprint is Latin America. As when we say footprint, means the factory or the office. So we have office in US, office in China, so you can imagine what happened to us for the last 12 months. We have a lot of challenges because of geopolitics, which we're going to touch it later. And when it comes to the context of sustainability, in our group, we divide it into two parts. The orange one, we call sustainability for business. It's mainly involved about the compliance, about the governance. And the green one is business for sustainability. We don't treat sustainability just as compliance. We treat it as opportunity. So we want to create new business that involve in sustainability context. And actually, we are listed in stock markets, so we're going to touch it later. Like right now, there are several standards, several requirements. Right now, yesterday I just got approved, and in our group next year, we're going to have 52 targets we have to comply according to the requirements. But within 52 targets, we boil down into 8 focus areas. And I'm going to touch it later about the green product portfolio, carbon neutral energy, so and so. In the last page, Bob is asking me that, hey, prepare one page about this because you want to touch it and we can elaborate it later. So the context of this panel discussion today is talking about innovation, sustainability, and there are two folds, opportunity and challenges. So within 1 minute, I just want to browse around on the items that we're going to cover details later. On opportunity, you can see about the new market growth, operational efficiency, regulatory, or even brand and talent attraction, which is very important. These 2 months, I spent a lot of time interviewing new members. And a lot of candidates that we chose, finally they decide not to come. Now the new talents, we don't choose them. They choose us. So sustainability is one of the items of a common question all the candidates ask me. So you can imagine now the new generation, they really value this. And now about the challenge and barriers, I'm sure there are a lot more, but I just want to group a little bit. One of the prominent issues that a lot of stages mention about this barrier is about global to local regulation gaps. High upfront investment, green is still expensive. We're going to discuss about this. And also scaling challenges. When they become expensive, when you ask the consumers, several surveys in Thailand done a lot. You want green product? Yes. Are you willing to pay more? Nah. So we're going to discuss about this too, how we can overcome those challenges. And of course, when they come to the local company, they want to act global. They want to think about global. But the cultural and organizational challenges still remain. So pass it back to Bob. Yeah.
You and Christine.
Yes. So it's Friday afternoon. We're going to talk about paint. You guys ready? Ready for some paint talk? All right. So Jotun is a Norwegian paint company. And it was founded in a very small town in Norway in 1926 by the 𝐏𝐫𝐸 family under a very set bunch of brand values and business principles. And the thing is, almost 100 years later, very little has changed. Head office is in exactly the same location. Our owners are still the same. We're still a family-owned company, and the business principles and the brand values remains the same. Although not much has changed, a lot has happened. Because we sort of started in the mid-60s, we ventured out of Norway. And the second factory outside of Norway, can you guess where that was? Thailand. I heard. It was here. Second factory out of Norway was in Thailand in 1968. So we have been here for 57 years. So when I say Jotun is a Norwegian company, a lot of people go, really? Oh, but I grew up with Jotun. I'm like, yes, that's great, but we're still Norwegian. And now we are a multinational global company in around over 100 countries around the world. And we operate only in paint. We like to do what we know. But we have 4 different segments. Decorative coatings, which is like house paint, like you and I would know it. Protective coatings, which is steel protection. Marine coatings for your big vessels traveling all around. and powder coatings. And when we look at paint and sustainability, we really want to look at the entire value chain, because that's where we can create value in line with our sustainability KPIs. Scope 1 and Scope 2 is what we can control. It's in our own operations and our own factories, right? It's the smallest part, but it's the easiest one to start with because we are in full control. And in Jotun, Thailand, we focus on making sure we reduce our energy consumption. We look at the way we travel, you know, all of these things that we can do. And the latest now is a fast investment in solar energy, so we can really move towards 100% renewable energy. Hopefully, we will be there by year end with a combination of solar panels and certificates. But it's really looking at the value chain. Within ourselves, it's easy, but where it gets really, really interesting is when we look at how we can add value to our customers. How can we make them or help them achieve their sustainability targets? And what you're seeing rolling around in the background here is an amazing little thing. We partnered up with another Norwegian company called Kongsberg, for those of you who know them. Because when we protect the vessels around the world, we provide them with the coating so that the foul, as in front of the boat, remains clean. Because if they can run smoothly through the waters, they will use a lot less fuel. So we partnered up with Kongsberg, and they created, together with us, a robot. So we provide the coating, the robot is attached to the vessel, and it will go in and do a lot of analysis whilst the ship is in the water, and then we can do preventative maintenance and cleaning, but without breaking the anti-fouling that we had put on. So together, we are reducing the CO2 emissions for our customers because we are reducing their fuel consumption, and together we are also protecting the biodiversity because these ships go all around the world. So that's just an example, and I think when it comes to Jotun and how we look at sustainability, it's really focusing on the value chain. What can we do within our own premises? How do we work with our raw material suppliers? And also how the most important and the sexiest part is how can we help our customers achieve their sustainability targets? All of this we have to do because it's the right thing to do, but at the same time make sure that we have a healthy business running alongside.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, that's a lot of information and excellent insights and experience from 4 substantial businesses. So we'll move on now to looking at our themes. As I mentioned, there are 4 themes. You can look at them there. This is a way of structuring the discussion, so to try to bring it down to issues. So the questions that we have prepared are within these, and please use the pigeonhole to add any questions. You can upvote other people's questions, but I deselected the downvoting of other people because it's probably, you know, not the right thing to do in a collaborative environment, right? So you can upvote, but not downvote. Okay, so there's the pigeonhole again. Let's look at the first one then, holistic sustainability as a business and investment norm. What does this mean, and what is holistic sustainability? Everybody's familiar with this chart. If you've done one of these courses like the FRESK course, F-R-E-S-K, or the SDG Goals 2030 game, what you learn, and you learn from real life as well, is the interrelationship of these things. So for example, that's why it's very important that there are standards like OECD's Responsible Business Conduct, because it has an impact on the environment, it has an impact on the way we work, it has an impact, as has been mentioned earlier, on how we manage and how we work with others, the change in mindset. So the holistic approach is to look at all these and not just one. Let's not go into the detail here. This is, the core of it is about IFRS. S1 is the sustainability reporting. S2 is climate reporting. And the world is moving, including Thailand, towards better standards so that we can understand these, but there are way too many at the moment. The evolution of these is a ridiculously complex set of standards, guidelines, etc., etc. Okay, so we're going to look at then back to our theme, holistic sustainability. And the first question, very quick, short answer from each, is tell us about your concept of sustainability, net zero, and related. Top of mind in your companies. Not everybody's going to answer every question. If you don't, you can opt out, not compulsory. But Sam, would you like to go first?
Yeah, so with the, I² Capital being $45 billion fund, so we invest essentially only on green infras. So our whole model is really around what decarbonization does. So whether it's elderly homes, or it's renewable energy, or it's EV transportation, our goal for every type of investment is always to make sure that we're sustainably meeting at least half those boxes for every business that we're doing.
Compana?
At Ericsson, right, sustainability is at the core of our business strategy, and I think we are committed to different, agreement. First is we are committed to achieve, Paris Agreement, right, by having our targets to be approved by scientific-based target to be in line with this Paris Agreement, and most importantly that we are on, on track, right, to achieve net zero across our value chain by 2040, and also achieve net zero in our own activities and across the supply chain by 2030. And what have we done so far to achieve that goal? So the most, the simple one is to decarbonize our own activities. For example, like in fleet, in facility, we are trying to lower carbon footprint that emit to the society, and also transition toward 100% renewable energy in our activities. And apart from that, in supply chain, we are trying to work together with like-minded suppliers who are committed to, sustainability initiatives. And apart from that, it's all about innovation, right? We are trying to come up with energy efficient products and embed AI and intelligent operation to drive this power of sustainable growth. And last but not least, it's all about driving sustainability through the powers of 5G, as I have highlighted before, right? Because 5G has a lot of different use cases that will allow us to save energy costs, right? With intelligent operation, with IoT, with extended reality, and so on. This kind of thing that we have contributed as part of our journey.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to Kunchal. All these questions, short answers, and focus on the question. Holistic sustainability, what is it? Do you embrace it, and why?
Okay. I think I just covered already during the presentation of my previous slides that for Eastern Polymer Group, we are the AA ESG stock rating. So we have to comply with all the requirements from the stock market anyway. The challenges for us is that the scope is getting bigger and more complicated. We have committed on net zero on 2050 and also carbon neutrality by 2035. We already explained that we define sustainability in two scopes: sustainability for business and business for sustainability. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Christine, let's take this one a step further. What about beyond compliance?
Well, I think for us, we don't have a sustainability strategy because it's a part of who we are, it's a part of our values, because it's the right thing to do. And I think that is beyond compliance and ticking the boxes, but it's a mindset that is created here in Jotun, Thailand. It's a mindset that is created in the bigger network of Jotun system, that it's the way that we have to be operating if we are going to be as successful as we are now and in the next 100 years. Okay. That's more on the softer side of it, I think.
Okay. That's a very important statement. It suggests that foreign investors in Thailand are bringing world-class standards which may or may not necessarily apply here. If we simply take a local compliance approach, we are not going to move the dial. We are not going to bring ourselves to a standard where we can say we are, number one, better harmonized in terms of regulation, but not only that, we are going to achieve our goals. I want to go to, on the same theme, the next question, which is a tougher question about driving ethics and ethics driving transformation. So the acid test of ethics is to have a code where if you breach it, there are consequences. What's the point of a code if it's just a nice to have and you put it on the wall and people can breach it all the time and there are no consequences? You may have heard of, for example, corruption perception indices. And various economies around the world don't do well in this if there are no enforcement. So let's come back not to the corruption side, but to the ethics side. What do you think about ethics and driving transformation and the consequences of not complying? I think, 𝐿, you had something on this.
We believe that ethics is a catalyst for transformation, right? So it's the foundation to create fairness, transparency, accountability in doing business. And companies that embed ethics, they don't just survive the disruption, but they will lead the change because all the key stakeholders believe that the key decision making by the company is purposeful, right? It's fair and is made at best interest of the company.
Okay, let me open it. Does anyone else want to comment on this one before we move on to the next question? Any other things to add? Okay, on this same topic, I have one, Khun Chal, on sustainability accounting, climate accounting, etc. And I know this is something that you've spent quite a bit of time getting your hair grey, which is very grey, on this. So how do you use these tools? You've mentioned not just compliance, but moving forward. How do you like to comment on that?
Sure. Now, actually, Bob already showed one slide that so many terminology, so many standards, right?
Yep.
I understand. I'm not sure that am I the only one representing the listed company here or not? Is there anyone else listed here in this room? Then it's tough for me. I don't have a friend here. So, being listed right now in Thailand, and he mentioned about ethics, right? So the government getting more stringent and even international looking at Thailand, they want to tighten the belt. So IFRS, S1 and S2, actually is an additional job that we have to report on the overall ESG, what we do, and also on the carbon emission. And then Bob have not touched, that's another thing. In order, I say that we got AA ESG rating from the stock market. The process is we submit the data according to their format. It's a self-report. That game is going to be over next year. Next year onward, there will be another institution called FTSE Russell. The abbreviation is FTSE. I understand it's an institution founded in UK, but the global will recognize that, will be like a global judge. FTSE Russell, the protocol to rate the company is not allow you to do self-report. They will check from your digital footprint, check from your website, from your SD report, from annual report, or whatever, digital footprint that, are you really good in that? Are you really committed to that? So it's going to be more challenging. But all in all, whatever terminology, whatever standards, it comes to one focus, transparency, with the structure standards that we have to comply with. So we, as an EPG, we don't intend to use it as a driving force, as a selling point yet. There are still unknown. There's still known unknown that we have to cover, and hopefully by next year, when FTSE Russell replacing ESG rating, we still keep our scoring, because it will affect to our credibility, even affect to our interest rate when we get a loan from the bank. Yeah, so just to go with the flow and make sure we don't miss the boat. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the next theme, which is innovation as a strategic driver. So a little bit of background on this. On the 2nd of September, we had a very interesting conference on Innovation Unleashed, and a few key points of learning from that. What is innovation? There has to be an element of novelty and originality and something of value. It doesn't have to make profit straight away, but it has to be something of value. So if you look at publications like Jim Collins' Built to Last, it looks at companies that have survived. Why? Not because they focused on tomorrow's profit, but because they focused on making something that people wanted and found useful, not in the short term, but found useful to the economy and society. So those are the companies that survived. Innovation can't be predicted. You look at the Ericsson people involved in R&D, a large part of the workforce. You look at the R&D budget. Most cases are not about, oh, I need to create a specific solution for this thing, but rather to do R&D to explore and discover. And typically, you can't predict that. Typically, you have to go out into the yonder and explore. It works well in ecosystems. So the way we work is changing. Small groups, bigger groups that rely on one another. I have seen, for example, both here and in other parts of Southeast Asia, alumni groups from universities who are working together and swapping information on getting funding, on supporting one another to do that next venture. And there are instances of that right here in Bangkok. So these are some of the learnings that we had from innovation. And then we should look at some cold hard facts. And this was mentioned at the Bangkok Post Forum by Vibeke about a month ago. He said, why are the startups in Thailand so low in number? Why are the figures from Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore greater? This is the data behind that. So why is that? And part of it is because we don't have sufficient of the right kind of finance. For example, this is too much VC, corporate VC, not enough other VC. And also, it's about a mindset. It's not to say that there aren't good ventures. It's not to say that there isn't creativity. But these are the raw figures that you can't ignore. I won't go into the data center debate here. This is a big debate. Sam has alluded to it. But innovation in the pressures that are going on in the data center environment, where you have AI driving relentlessly investments in data centers. You can see the regional footprint there. That was just presented a few days ago. And the pressures to get to renewable energy and also look at fundamentals of reducing the demand in the first place, circular economy thinking. So let's go back to our theme about innovation as a strategic driver. Large organizations, unless designed and managed to the contrary, tend to stymie innovation. It tends to need deliberative steps. So, Christine, talk about Jotan in this respect. How is innovation working and what do you do?
Yes, Jotun is large, and I guess on certain areas probably a little bit sluggish sometimes. But I think when it comes to innovation, we are not. And I think, you know, it boils to the fact of determining what innovation should do and be for the organization. You know, it's a little bit like, I don't know if I have any fellow runners out here, you know, do you decide that you want to run a little bit every week, or do you set a goal that you want to run a marathon? Because that training is very different. And it's the same with innovations, yeah? Do you want to innovate every now and then because it's sort of, you have to do it? Or do you really determine innovation to be a growth driver? And for Jotun, that has almost always been the case, where we really need to see the drive of innovations that are driving our business. And obviously, with that overall objective, you set targets. So globally, we have a target of 25% of all of our business should be through new innovation products. And we will categorize a product as an innovation for about 3 years. We're not FMCG, we're paint. It moves a little bit slower. 3 years is an okay timeline. 25% of all of our sales should be through innovations. And then we have about 250, 300 chemists working, but again, because we are a product that people use, we also need to get the insight from the market. So there's equally the amount of marketeers that are working to really understand the market and the insights. very often it's difficult to go and ask what people want because they don't know what they want. You know, I think it was Tom Ford who said, ask people what they want and they will say faster horses. They don't know that they need a car. And it's a bit the same across the different categories, but instead we're looking to find the pain points, you know, what's bothering you, what's the most difficult challenge that you are facing within using our products currently, and that becomes an insight that we will create into an innovation together with dedicated chemists and R&D resources around the world. So.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to talk about governance frameworks towards innovation and whether these are really effective if they're managed well. Short answers. Kunchal, shall we ask you? Yep.
Before answering your question, I would like to add some local insight on your page of startup. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah. Sharing the real experiences of the company I used to work with, SCG. I used experience and incubate several startups. That time is a boom of startup, and we call the program 0 to 1. To answer your question, why Thailand is one of the reasons, okay, and why Thailand is compared to the other countries is a little bit less. I think 𝐏𝐫𝐨𝐿𝐿 from Bangchak has mentioned about one of her startups, that it took her effort to convince her employees to quit the job and run the startup and become a millionaire, because they worry in case they fail, what they're going to do. People know that Thailand right now is entering into aging population. I'm not sure how many people know that what is the unemployment rate in Thailand. It's less than 1%. Okay, so you can easily to find a job for being Thai, all right? And now we're getting less baby born. So there are plenty of jobs. So to do the startup, and a lot of big companies in the past, you know, SCG, PTT, CP, you name it, they sponsor the startup, encourage the people to do, and then encourage them to spin off. That means resign from your company, take some shares and run the startup. in my experience in SCG, I think 1 or 2 programs from 100 programs that decided to leave. But still, with the condition that, hey, boss, in case I fail, can you hire me back? So even like a rehiring and a re-employment agreement. So about the job security, is one of the reasons why Thailand has less. Yeah. Okay, now back to your question about the governance of innovation. So to share about our practice in Eastern Polymer Group on the innovation governance, we define, there are many definitions of innovation. Our definition of innovation means idea to invoice. Idea to invoice means that idea can commercialize, that idea can sell. It can, and when you say new to who? It has to be new value to the customers. It has to be new value to the customer. It's just not new to your company. And I just share you some insights that to be successful in the governance of innovation, I think there are like 4 elements. First, the leader have to commit. Several leaders have a lot of buzzword. We are an innovative company, but don't fail. If you propose some new projects, how can you be sure you're going to be successful? It's a contradict, right? But so first, leader have to commit. And second, of course, we are not like association with no, we have limited resources, right? So second element is that define the scope of innovation very clear. Define the budget of playground. We use the word playground. Means this budget has to be clear how much you allow to fail, all right? It's not unlimited, but make it clear. So people have a safe zone to take risks, to innovate. The third point is you always have to start innovation from the customer insights. Like Jotan mentioned very clearly, right? Normally when you do innovation, you start with your company, oh, what is new to us? And you forget on what the customer needs. And nowadays when you say customer, it's very tricky terms now. Your customer is no longer defined as the people who buy your product. It's the people who buy your product, people who use your product, people that don't like you, influencer, regulator. There's so many things involved in that, not just customers anymore. All the insights have to be taken into consideration. And the last mindset and element is very important, is you have to be resilient and agility. Means that we prepare. Innovation today, tomorrow may not be anymore. Now with the speed of technology, your competitor can copy you very fast. Or even your non-competitors can see it as a competitor. I'm not sure you see one stage or not, that one of the unicorn in Thailand. Okay, we call him Mad Unicorn. He's one of the first unicorn from the logistics. And he boldly stated on the stage like this that the moderator asked him, okay, what is your next move? He's the king of, one of the leader in your logistics, okay? And now he said, I'm interested in like a convenience store. And we all know that who is the biggest convenience store in Thailand. It's a huge group. And he clearly said that. So keep a mindset that, innovation can be disrupted tomorrow by your competitors very fast, particularly with the AI and the new technology. And your competitors can be the one that you don't realize it can be. Yeah.
So just one quick observation there. A contrary view would say you don't start innovation looking at the paycheck, at the commercialization. You start on creating something of value, which is not, but you did say that this is not a nirvana. You have to have some kind of limited budget to what you can do. So that, I think, is always a tension, but the idea that you have to constrain everything by being able to commercialize it could be a challenge. Let's hear from Sam very briefly.
Before in my corporate life, I was working for a very large US $12 billion company, and we had this whole strategy that we should innovate. So we had a 2-week session in Hong Kong, and we said we're going to go and innovate. And we had governance and all those kind of things that have happened. The fact of the matter is, innovation doesn't happen in 2 weeks. Okay, innovation doesn't happen when governance blocks the path of your thinking. And that's the reason why most of the innovation is actually happening with startups where they do not see that thing happening to them, that they are controlled and covered. I think what's important in this area is to be able to give the freedom of being able to, like Bob said, bring value to your customer or to your supply chain, right? Or even some other technologies. But the whole idea is to be able to allow that to happen. And if that doesn't happen, then you don't have that entrepreneurial zeal, and therefore nobody can take on that project to make it a real big success.
Okay, we're going to wrap up on this one. One final comment?
Yeah, it was just, and I completely agree, Sam. Whenever anyone sort of comes up with the idea of innovation workshop, I'm like, no, let's not. Let's just go straight to dinner and drinks. Like, let's just skip the workshop, because that's not. But it was just on the insights and throwing sort of sustainability into the mix of innovation, because that's where, from our side, very often there is a mismatch between the insight gathered and what people and sort of business customers are telling us that they want to focus on, but then it doesn't necessarily match the willingness to pay at the end. And that is still a bit of a mismatch in the thought of innovation and sustainability. You know, if you ask a normal homeowner, would you be willing to pay to save the environment next time you paint your house? Of course they're going to say yes. But when you're stood with two options at the end, the actual moment you are going to paint your house, maybe not so much if the price is too high. We see it in projects, you know, when we have big, huge commercial buildings, products are spec'd in, everything is green until they get the price quotation to go with this, and then it tends to very quickly be downgraded in a sense. So that's where there is a big mismatch between the insight to start with and the willingness to pay at the end of it, and it's still in innovation.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go on to the next theme now, which is all about skills and the idea of know-how. So what is know-how? What is organizational learning and the way in which a company does something? Why do companies want, all around the world, 100% foreign ownership? Probably because they're concerned about their know-how being misused or stolen or leaked or being used in a way which is not going to be to their commercial advantage being a new entrant. So the question about transfer is, what do you do over time? Do you reduce your equity, or do you take on more local people? So the typical model is you start with a predominance of people who are schooled and skilled in the mindset of the company and its brand, and then you start to bring in more local people in every market you go into. So the question is, how does this work? If we look at skills, for example, there's a World Bank report from February 2024 that says that the transferable skills and the lack of foundational skills is contributing to a gap of 20% in GDP. We in JFCCT and the 𝐓𝐽𝐻 project that Khun Panda has referred to have come up with a list of 4 critical soft skills, which we think are very fundamental, not just to the digital area, but to everything. So these skills underpin green skills as well. So coming back to this idea of skills, thinking about soft skills and hard skills and green skills, what particular, Khun Panda, what particular skills do you think are fundamental to going into new markets? Short answer.
All right. So I believe that kinds of comprehensive skill that we need. So first is green skills, right? So we need to kind of embed our new thinking in how to be green. I think one of the emerging idea is to have circular economy practices. So it's kind of emerging concept that we have seen Bangchak adopt that kinds of thinking. So how can we maximize the use of materials as long as possible and reduce waste? So I think that is very important. And secondly, for green is that we need to effectively measure the carbon footprint or emission that we actually, kind of impact our sustainability goals. And when it's come to critical skills, right, that we need is to be ready for the future is definitely on equipping ICT skill like AI, automation, and it's not just about coding or training algorithm, but it's how to relate these kinds of technical skill and apply to business needs.
Okay, thank you. Christine, a question on bringing skills to the economy, and not just to do the company's job, if you like, in terms of product production, but what you contribute to the development of any market you go into above and beyond the immediate need of producing.
Yeah, so I think for us, one of the things that, and I heard it in Michela's opening speech, when I hear 1 in 5 Thais are not actively engaged in any form of education, then I want them to be painters. I want to have vocational education. You compare it to Norway, where in order to be a qualified painter, you actually need an education. And I think it's fantastic because it really puts pride into that type of profession. And for me, super critical part of my business, because I can have the best product in the world, but if it's not applied properly, and in Thailand, maybe someone will paint during the rain season because then they can't grow their crops, and then they swap halfway through 6 months of the year. It doesn't give for sustainable, really working on that skill set. So we've sort of started to take responsibility in Thailand for that part, to really try and upscale an important part of our value chain in order to use our products in the best way. I think just in the last 18 months, we've probably trained about 1,000 painters in Thailand on really application properties, understanding the substrates, common paint problems, because if they don't do their job properly, I tend to get blamed because they all think it's the product. So it's a benefit for the business, but also so that whoever is using our products around in Thailand are actually getting a service in combination with a good product. So
Okay.
I would encourage more vocational education.
Very good. If we go back to the title of today, it's about technology and know-how in the world, and how do we apply it towards sustainability objectives. Khun Chao, would you like to?
Yep. Actually, I want to add something more from the local insights, but to provide another perspective. I want to divide the generation in Thailand into two groups. New generation and I would say a mature generation, all right? I don't want to use the old generation. Experience, okay, thank you. Thanks for the help. I have 3 kids, and now my eldest son is 23 already. Know-how, they don't see it as a problem. I think nowadays there's a lot of free access to the knowledge, and new generation have so comfortable to find a new know-how. But the skills they need is the know-who, social skill. You agree with me, right? The people skill, that is something that, that we need to add more. And the know-how is embedded in the know-who. That's why we are here. Otherwise, you guys just browse internet, right? You don't need to come here, right? So that's for the new generation. But for experienced generation, that's another way around. That's another way around. Experienced generation tend to stick that the skills I have is good enough. It's difficult to open the, not about the skill set, it's difficult to mindset, to open your mindset, to up the new skills, to learn the new things, but the more difficult because I have to handle 3,000 people. My factory is 1,200 people. I'm 51 years old and more than 300 people are older than me. So to learn a new skill is one thing, but to unlearn the old skills, also very more difficult. So that's I want to share about the local insights here. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on from this topic in a second. Sam, you wanted to make a final
Just a
comment?
quick one. I think depending on industries, you know, when I went to India, one of the things that I told the corporate in the U.S. is we're not going to have more than we're not going to have expats for more than 6 months in the country. Okay. And if something has to happen, the guys from India need to go to wherever the plants are and wherever the engineering centers are. So it's really important to always not make the distinction of us and them. And if you want technology transfer to happen, it's critical that we have the integration of both sides happening effectively. End result of that was we were able to establish 2 technology centers, which currently are probably having 8,000 people in India, correct? One of the most successful ones that has been done in India at that time. But that happened with the concept that expats cannot be there for more than 6 months. I was one of them, but I kind of took longer.
Thank you. We are very close on time, so we're going to move to the final topic, which is overcoming barriers to doing business. And what I would ask each speaker to do is to talk about some things that are relevant barriers to doing good business in Thailand, where the objective is to get the right sustainability outcomes that we've all talked about, and what are the barriers to that. So for example, we've done a few things in JFCCT. One of them is about the concept of getting to net zero with integrity and using measurement and reporting tools to help companies along to bring standardization and transparency. Let's go back to some of the barriers that you see. Let's just start with you, Christine, on what you would see as barriers that you would like to overcome.
So I think from a barrier point of view, there's probably 2 main ones for us here in Thailand. One is related to specifically for the coatings industries on the chemical policy, but I guess you can generalize it also in terms of general policy. So for Jotun, we have one global chemical policy. So if there are rule changes to the policy in the EU or in Europe, for example, we would also adhere to that here, even if the local legislations and rules are not there yet. This tends to drive cost, but we still do it because it's the right thing to do. And the thinking is, if something has been deemed harmful to a Norwegian or a European, it's equally measured as harmful for a Thai. It means that we have to change it, even though legally we don't have to do it here in this market. That tends to put me in a commercial disadvantage towards competition because they would not follow the same and hence can offer lower cost products. So I guess from a barrier point of view, it would be to say if we can be a speedier implementation of policies, you know, we tend to look towards Europe for these kind of things, and maybe with an even faster implementation, we can all move in unison towards what's the right thing to do. The second one is also towards sort of incentivizing green procurement or purchases, in a sense. I think especially for my line of business, you know, we have a lot of government projects, you know, that again tend to be more price driven, which then tends to sacrifice on the green and the sustainability aspect. But if that can be mandated, would be great. Incentivized, I guess, is more achievable, so that they can also base the sustainability parameters and take that into consideration when awarding projects or when you know, finding local business partners.
Okay, thank you. We are officially over time, so we're just going to wrap up pretty quickly. Chal, would you like to make any comment on this briefly?
4 elements: regulations, technology, markets, and culture. Culture I covered already about the generation gap. Regulation, she mentioned already, but thanks to the new government that he mentioned, one of the 4 areas that they're going to focus is about climate urgency. So there will be, hopefully there will be regulation that support, not too extreme to the green procurement yet, but hopefully some kind of that. Technology is a challenge, because Thailand, to be honest, we don't develop our own technology. We have to buy. So the high cost of investment will be the big barrier. That's why we cannot really adopt to the sustainability innovation as fast as we wish. And the market. Unfortunately, GDP of Thailand is one of the lowest in the ASEAN. So, you know, purchasing power is a bit low. So to ask them to pay more for the green, it's not their priority now. So there are 4 challenges.
All right, very good summary. Thank you. And Sam, what do you?
I never thought I would say that in a positive way, but I love the guillotine that was written there, because because for our business, you know, we do a lot of renewables. We do 25 gigawatts. We really want to have the government to be open in terms of open access power, which will help data center industries and things like that. And we also would love the government to look at EV and EV transportation, you know, not having to have an FBL and things like that, and really implementing EVs here. So these are the 2 things that I think are significant and important.
Okay, FBL meaning Foreign Business License. So thank you for the acronym. Yeah. Okay, so last question, closing question. What are 2 tests that you would answer to the question, is my company innovative in achieving sustainability goals and in enthusing others? Is my company innovative in achieving sustainability goals and enthusing others? Do you think you're doing well, or what would you prefer to do better? Let's start with you, Panda.
Test that I'll test with my company is that the first one is impact test. Are we delivering measurable result, like carbon emission or even like waste reduction? And second one is about inspiration test. Are we our project is engaging enough to attract you know, key stakeholder to be part of the journey?
Okay. Right. All right, Christine, would you like to?
Yeah, I think for us, again, towards innovations, we have to make sure that all of the sustainability KPIs are like in the first gate process when we look at innovations, and then so we can measure that through and making sure every single product we launch either is more sustainable or is contributing to the sustainability KPIs. And of course, continuing to monitor carefully within our own operations, reducing or improving all of the sustainability parameters.
Baked in, not bolted on. Chal, very briefly, did you want to add anything to 2 tests in your company?
Right, to answer your question only in a Thailand context, right? A company in Thailand, right? So I'm not sure you guys know or not that if you are listed in Thailand, or even you're a registered company in Thailand, in the future, you have to report your carbon emission, no matter how small or big company you are. So your question is how do we measure we are succeeding in the innovation sustainability, right?
Innovation is your company innovative in achieving sustainability goals?
Right. So 2 answers. First, probably you don't need to. People will score you anyway. according to the new standard, they will score you anyway. They will judge you anyway.
That's compliance.
I know, but and the second, I want to give a classic case. The ultimate measurement that whether you are succeeding is that your company values or your brand values become part of people's life. One incident, I think a few years ago, there was a big explosion in Rayong, Maptaput. The terminal tank exploded by the big company. Only one day, it is solved. The company stepped up. This company is one of the role model is SCG, role model on sustainability. They step up, take full responsibility, and they have been engaged in the community for a long time about sustainability. People don't blame them. People understand. They're sorry for them. So the ultimate measurement that whether you're succeeding or not is that no matter just good time, even in bad time, people protect you. And that is the ultimate.
Okay, thank you. We're badly over time. So Sam, final comment.
If I were a CEO of a global company, I mean, the way I'd look at it was if I need to be able to look at proposals where cost is going down, reliability of plants or brands or products is going up, and you're able to reduce emissions. So how much of those projects you approve? That's number one. Number two is that if my CFO is happy with a business proposal, I like to make sure that the community is also happy with it. So these two matrices, I think, are critical for achieving innovation.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to close there. So a big hand for our panelists. And we'll just take a quick photo, Isra, of the five of us here, and then anyone after that who wants to join.
So, dear panelists, thank you very much also on behalf of myself. I'd just like to, let's get moving. Can I invite you, panelists, to stay for this activity and mix and mingle with the audience, because the activity is also related to your presentations. So thank you very much. So I'm doing this a little bit quickly because we were badly over time with the previous session. So what we have prepared is a little activity to reflect on what you have learned today. And we have prepared 6 cards. They're actually now sheets of A4 sheets. And I would like you to turn around a little bit and find another, and the speakers might want to mix and mingle a little bit and sit with somebody they know in the room, and Bob as well, please be invited. And form teams of 2 or 3 people. So what's really nice, and this is if you kind of also could turn around to somebody behind you, or you just move a little bit closer. So I will continue once you have formed teams of 2 or 3. Yeah, who has not got the paper, please let her know. That includes, and Christine and everybody, you can join, meet somebody, mix and mingle, you too. Digital infrastructure for sustainability, sustainable materials, global standards, corporate transformation, legacy, and inclusive aligned innovation. You might be able to guess which previous speaker and topic they relate to, but I didn't want to make it specific to a company. It's more around generally the technology and the idea. This includes also the presentation by Gloyta and also Michela. So for this, we will take about 10, 15 minutes, just a little bit of a reflection. So please go through the description and also then answer the 3 questions provided. So here's one example. And you will see on your paper that you also have different ones. Thank you. I come around. If you have questions, just raise your hand and I come around. How are we doing, guys? Vibeke, what do you think? Shall we do a bit of sharing? So, can I stop you all? The energy level is still really, really good. So you are a very good crowd. I really appreciate you still have that energy on a Friday afternoon and the discussions. But what would be nice is maybe if you could, some of you could share. And maybe you could share by saying what is the topic of your group, and then what is one action item that the last question. The questions are always a little bit similar. There's a pattern. So what is the action to implement in your area for next year? And if you need a little bit more explanation, like the challenge and the benefit, you can add that, but keep it short. Can I ask who would like to start? Some group that like to share? Yes, I have the microphone here. Who would like to start? I don't know. Is that a yes or no? Is that a commitment? Yeah? Okay. Next is over there.
We can do it together if you want.
Oh, okay. So just
Let's listen to this group. Are you ready? Hello.
so excited.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Let's listen to the other group, what they have to share. Can you stand up?
Yeah,
Thank
sure,
you.
sure, yeah.
Woo!
Hi, I'm represent our group that selected cultural digital infrastructure for sustainability. Okay, and as for the concrete action, we could be implemented in the next year. As per our group, we should that the roadmap by connecting the stakeholder infrastructure as well as the plan can do and implement in the next year. It's like the thing that without the roadmap, then we cannot know what to do next. And as for as the time allow, let us to indicate to the answer question number 1 and number 2. And for number 1, the potential challenges matter most. Yeah, our group are in the opinion that the business model is like the status of ecosystem, as well as digital skill is like the idea that we would like to sell, and without sale and without the person who buy our business model, then we will not have any resources to invest for the ecosystem as well as digital skill. And as for the number 2,
only need to answer the action point. Is that okay? Just in the interest of time. Is it okay? Thank you.
Sure.
Please give her a big hand. Yeah. And there was, this one and then you. Okay.
Okay, so we tackle number 2 as well, so we just leave it on there. So number 1, I guess, the potential challenges out of the multiple choices up there, we kind of thought that business models are not really are kind of like the biggest challenge, because data centers kind of like, make returns for themselves. 5G would make, capture enough value to make returns for themselves based on the applications. But the ecosystem readiness is a big challenge. Like for example, the electricity grid and the power grid is not ready. the land and the infrastructure is not ready. We heard that the EEC still doesn't have a power substation right now. I'm not sure, as I cannot verify that, but we heard that. And then it's a big digital skills gap still. So just to touch on a little bit on number 2, the workforce skills is also a big problem, because we talked to a bunch of people and like there are no contractors available who have all the skills necessary to build data centers here in Thailand. And then a lot of collaboration is another big one, because a lot of governmental agencies still not talking about, like say, unlocking the third-party access for the power grid, and a lot of just regulatory coordination to make it happen. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Please, let's just do a little bit of mutual encouragement. Is your group number 3, right? Okay, let's change the slide to number 3. Please.
Hello? Yes? So number 3 on sustainable materials and the industry. Okay, first of all, packaging is not the core product. So people are buying the core product, and packaging is something, it's part of the whole, but it's not what they pay for. So a lot of extra, if you put a lot of extra costs on it, people are not willing to pay for that. But what is the challenge that mattered the most, according to us, the 3 of us here, is mainly recycle. A lot of packaging material, all of them, is it now plastic, glass, paper, whatever, it's all recyclable. And organizing the supply chain and the collecting supply chain, and then build up an industry behind that to recycle that material, this is really a potential challenge. And this has to be organized, first of all, organized by government, local or land, and then also include some private companies who are also getting then some return out of it. And then how can Thai industry accelerate sustainable materials? I think really develop compostable packaging. This is fantastic. But this is niche, and that costs a lot of money still. So I think more incentives in recycling and then adding some cost to less eco materials is a thing that could be done, but it's the supply chain and the organization of that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think and concrete action. Yeah, you cannot avoid the plastic bottles, the single use, but you all can recycle them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that could be room for more discussion on that one, but thank you very much for your sharing. Any other? We have room for one more. Yes, please. Let's have that younger team in the back there, the opportunity.
Yes, for the card number 5, yeah, our group got corporate transformation and legacy system. And for the one concrete action that we could be done is to build the people. I agree with a man previously that he said previously that the ecosystem is really matter for transform the one company into another green business model. But how could we partner with stakeholders if our people in the organization is not ready? So in order to be ready, I think the first and foremost thing that we should be done is to get people ready by give them the right skill, the right set of skill, and the right opportunities for them to be performed and get the experience, because the skill set is not the thing that you can learn from the textbook only. You have to experience and learn from the mistake. So it could be the skill set that is really tangible and be useful for the future. And yeah, and if we get the right skill set, I think even though there is the transition speed change from externality, I think if people are ready, and if the people are ready, so the transition speed or the things outside, it's not the really big thing for the people to confront. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please. I'm glad that somebody also talked about people. Actually, when in sustainability, when we talk about technology, innovation, sustainability initiative, in the end, all my conversations always see executives say, most important is corporate culture, people, mindset and capability. So I think we are in a good space to finish now. I hope you enjoyed this event. Just on my, I would like to thank you all for coming today, particularly Bob for excellent panel discussion as expected, and the speakers and panelists. I hope you enjoyed this mixed format of a few keynotes, an interactive panel, and then also having a little bit of a mini workshop discussion at the end to make it a little bit more engaging and also give you time to talk about topics yourself. It's not the format to get the right answers, but it's part of the process to maybe align a little bit more and share what other people are thinking and engage with them. So with that, I pass back to our fantastic MC and then also to our chairwoman, right? I think that's the last few couple of steps. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun. That was fun. And as Kun Charles said, it's not the know-how, it's know-who. And now we already know who's sitting beside us. And we're going to continue this networking at the booth. Can I have the booth number coming up, please? So after this, everybody please be invited to the JFCCT booth. That is number E08, and you can see in the map here. And last, I would like to thank our sponsors. We have 𝐸GS, the Engineering Consultancy for Energy Efficient and Sustainable Buildings and Neighborhood. And also we have the Indonesia-Thai Chamber of Commerce. Let's give them a big round of applause for making this possible. And last but not least, I'd like to invite the chairwoman of JFCCT, Vibeke, come back up here to close this session for us. Please welcome Vibeke.
It's impossible to close a meeting like this. Anybody want to see my piece of paper? I had the closing note, but I have so many notes on that I have no way of finding out what I really want to say. But I think one thing that we've seen today or heard today is we've heard Michela talking about sustainability and how we have to work together. We have spoken about how 1 in 5 are not actively involved. And we've talked about education. So education is something that is very important, and it's an area that JFCCT works a lot on. And it's how to build the future workforce. When we talk about unemployment of 1%, I don't believe that to be true. There's actually unofficial, you have the official economy and the unofficial economy. Unemployment is much bigger than that. And one of the reasons why we have unemployment and one of the reasons why education is a challenge is because of opportunities. We have a role to play in that. Christine, if you want to increase your workforce, you have to find a way to connect with the provinces, connect with the people, and connect with the younger generation that all they want is an opportunity. And that opportunity is not something just by them going to study. That opportunity is done by giving it through dual vocational system where you have to also pay for it. Because the main reason why they can't study is because they can't afford to. They can't afford to leave the family and not be there to help. They can't afford to have the housing. They can't afford to actually do the study and buy food. Simple as that. So I think we can do a lot with this, not only Thai companies, but also foreign companies. Ms. Gloyta, she talked about greennovation to regenerate. Bangchak are doing a lot of initiatives, very positive initiatives, and they do it for lasting value for all. And I think we've heard that from all the speakers today, that our mindset is to make positive change, and I think we can do this together. Listed companies have a very important role to play, because listed companies, they yes, they have to tick a lot of boxes, but the fact is that their supply chain also need to tick those boxes. Now, supply chain may not financially be able to, or SMEs are not financially able to afford those changes that are required by the regulations of EU, by the regulations here in Thailand. We have a tremendous way of making regulations, but not always thinking through how to implement those. So bigger companies, they will have to show the way for SMEs and for their supply chain. But as does the government have to do this. So the government, they have a bold goal of now 2050, we are going to reach this goal. They have a lot of policies that they want to put in place. They have 4 months to do this. Now, we all know that regulations cannot be changed in 4 months. So I think this is a real opportunity for the guillotine or regulatory reform and the guillotine projects to be brought back. I'm glad that it's in the paper that they launched on 29. I think we need to push for this. Private sector, we need to push for that change, and we need to push for quick change, because if Thailand doesn't want to be left behind, changes has to be done. I mean, Martin, you showed a lot of different tasks, but all of it requires change. It requires innovation, technology, but most of all, it requires collaboration and people. So on that note, I think today is just the start of collaboration. It's the start of working together. I have a few thank yous to do, and I don't have the right people in the room, but since there's video recording here, the SX Sustainability Expo and today's event would not be possible without our host, 𝐸𝐵𝐵, CSCM, and those that have contributed to this event. So we are part of it. We are having a event today where we are sharing. There have been other big events, smaller events, but together I think the SX Sustainability Expo is a platform that is very important, and it's a platform that we need to support. So I want to say especially thank you to 𝐸𝐵𝐵 and CSN for this, for giving it to us. And please do go and visit the JFCCT booth. I have to give away a little secret. The secret is actually sadness, because we had planned to serve you wine there. But it turned out to be very complicated, and we did not want to pollute the world with plastic glasses. So I think we have to make a commitment that those that are in the room and those that signed up, we have to make a separated event where there will be food and wine served. So on that note, please do go downstairs. Please continue to mingle, continue to network, and let's start the journey of sustainability. Thank you.